Warning, this video contains minor spoilers for attracting purposes. Alright, so I asked in Reddit a few months ago for my next Dark VN and you guys voted Subaibi, which I have been reading, but I took several breaks from it because of Subaibi being Subaibi. Then I got introduced to this VN, so I figured, why not? Still, there is an incentive to why I'm reading this series, but let's just get to it. Okay, so this VN is set in a world that is fantasy mixed in with a bit of sci-fi or science fantasy as the genre would be described. On one hand, there is the fantasy with magic named mana, and the art of using mana is called crafter. And on the other hand, you get the sci-fi technology like androids mining rare ores and the like. The synopsis of this VN is the journey of two young waifus in an unknown foreign land after they escaped a deadly crisis that happened in their home country called Rothenheid. And how did they end up in that foreign land, you might ask? They were teleported there as the failsafe constructed by the protagonist. I swear to God, this move is basically an isekai move, but hey, at least it was done by the protagonist herself instead of a goddamn truck. This VN is f***ing short. 3 hours and 26 minutes recorded, while VNDB's average is around 6 hours and 28 minutes. I kind of thought that was longer, like half an hour or an hour to do more world building, but nah, didn't happen. The badass waifu protagonist, the selfless, friendly, and kawaii Hime-sama, the kind yet mysterious airhead who is also talkative, and the stoic and cold-hearted CEO. So we have a waifu as the protagonist of the story called Ritona Rainvasta, whatever. And she's the royal guardian of Selfin. Therefore, she protects her and stays by her side most of the time, especially in their current circumstances. Ritona excels in mana crafting, and she is a battle crafter, meaning that she uses mana or magic, so to speak, in order to fight. But she's also capable of sword fighting, as shown in this CG. Badass, am I right? As for her personality, I would say that she's serious, cautious, and distrustful given her protective nature towards Selfin. And it's totally understandable considering that they were just teleported to an unknown foreign land. Still, Ritona gets kind when she opens up to people who she deems trustworthy. Next, the kawaii Hime-sama, called Selfin Rothenheid. I hope I pronounced her name correctly. Anyway, Selfin is a princess and heiress to the kingdom of Rothenheid. Being a princess, she is capable of a special kind of ability of mana crafting called Path Down, which basically allows the user to experience the lives of their predecessors, their memories, their experiences, and whatnot. This skill of hers is only limited to royalty, so she's basically the only person that could use it, aside from the royal family, of course, who were not introduced in this VN. As for her personality, she's the complete opposite of the protagonist. While Ritona is distrustful and cautious, Selfin, on the other hand, is pretty much carefree and likes to befriend strangers easily. I think it's due to her Hime-sama side. Like, being a princess means that you gotta be close to your subjects and citizens. But truthfully speaking, that would be bad if somebody were to assassinate you. I'll be honest though, Selfin's not the cute character, but she does get cute sometimes, and that's what I like about her, because her cuteness doesn't feel forced. After that, twin-tailed airhead named Rune. Now this character plays a heavy role in the damn plot, so I try to limit spoilers, but what I would say about her is that she could either be creepy or just friendly, depending on how bad your paranoia is. I mean, she gave off a mysterious vibe when she was first introduced, like she had an ulterior motive or something, which was what Ritona was thinking about. And you can bet that damn well played in the plot as the story progresses. Still, I sympathize with her character because she is played with the concept of humanity in mind, a kind of duality, but I'll just leave it at that. And if you guys want to know more, go play the damn game. Personally speaking, I'm okay with her character, though I'll admit, disclaimer, I don't like twin tails, and if this hairstyle was paired with the tsundere personality, God help me. But I am grateful that Rune is not a tsundere. You hear that, Arisa? This twin-tailed girl is better than you already, and her story is shorter than yours. And lastly, we have Rudo Zavitz, the CEO of Zavitz Enterprise. And again, I hope that I pronounced the damn name correctly. So if you notice from his picture, he's giving off a serious look, And yeah, that's how he looked like most of the time in the VN. A stoic and also distrustful person like Ritona, but minus the stoic. Still, I don't blame him for being like that, considering what he's been through in his past. You could say that Rudo is one of the people that falls under the category of those that care too much. Those that are heartless once cared too much, yeah. Honestly speaking, I do like Rudo's character, and you might feel him to be an asshole, but there's a reason for his behavior. I'm surprised he's not colder though, like, there's still a reasonable and rational side to him. I mean, yeah, you have to, right? You're a CEO of a company after all. The caring and mature co-worker, the mate, the bro, the buddy, the opportunist Otosan, the elegant Okasan, the lolly version of Tosakarin. Oh god, why? The kudere lolly. Oh great, another one. The cool and calm waifu. And of course, best girl. On the term material, that black hair, those clothes of hers, and finally, she does. Why wouldn't she be? If you're still not convinced, this DG will help change your mind. Gave me Akino vibes, and I fell in love with her at first sight. I would say that the technical stuff in this VN is a bit different than usual. The settings page is like basic to the core. You could read the VN in, oh my god, how many languages is that? Hey, they have the Deutsche Sprache as well. But sorry, my German is terrible, and I only read the VN in English, which does have minor mistakes. One of which was "were need to." And there's one point where I think that the subject is wrong. Let's say, for example, a conversation describing person A, but then suddenly person B's name came out in context, which I believe is about person A instead. So yeah, but those two are the only problems that I've encountered for the English text. Back to the settings page. No muting individuals feature. Yes! Yes! Fuck! Yes! This VN is not voiced, which is a shame. Now you know why I have a hard time pronouncing the names. Well, you could say that it's compensated with visuals, which I would say it's up to standard, but the thing that attracted me more in this VN is its OST. It's really good in my opinion. It's got a good variety to fit several kinds of scenes. Still, I'll say more later on. Now, if you take a look at the UI in-game, it's clean, showing just the scene and the characters, the text box, and just one rotating gear at the bottom right. So if you wanna access the buttons, just hover the mouse cursor to the gear and the buttons will slide into screen. I like UIs like this. Wish the VN developers implement this kind of UIs more. It just shows the background and scene more. But maybe because I think that it compensates for no voiceovers, lol. Lastly, the encyclopedia, where you could read the explanations about terms used specifically in this story. I personally think that the terms were understandable when reading the story, so I believe that this encyclopedia is more like a recap, but hey, still welcomed nonetheless. So the story structure is linear, following the basic plot pyramid. But I think that this phase doesn't exist, so I'll leave you guys to interpret it. There's one point in the story where you pick between two choices, but it doesn't change the story at all, just some different dialogue and that's it. The direction of the story continues as normal. That being said, I guess it just reveals some characteristic about the subject at hand. Hey, that's already better than the choices in Alkana Extra 1. Hey guys, Future ASid here. I forgot to mention that there is a prologue in the main menu, which I find to be kind of irrelevant to the main story, at least not yet, but I do see some hints tying the two together. Maybe the prologue is not that important, so I guess that's why the developers put it inside the main menu instead of merging it together with the main story. But anyway, I digress, let's just move back to the past me. To be honest, I like the world building in this VN, and the story does address several plot holes, but I wish that the world building was a bit more. Like, the magic and fighting part was good enough, but the sci-fi part felt less. I mean, the magic side is done pretty well in terms of show and tell, but the sci-fi part is more on the tell and less on the show. I wish they showed the sci-fi aspects more, like tools or something, it doesn't matter. It just felt lacking to me. And it's even weirder because Ritona and Selfin were transported to an area that is based on the sci-fi aspects. Of course, I would be saddened by it because I'm a sucker for sci-fi. Besides that, some parts of the story felt repetitive to me. Like, there is one phase in the story that was explaining about a particular character, and then the next phase was like explaining about the same character. but a bit longer. I don't know why the developers did that. I mean, to me, I already understood what happened, so I want to understand what happens next, but whatever. Next, there are some characters that were introduced in the undressing phase of the story, but then for the rest of the plot, they just don't exist anymore, which is a shame really, because I liked most of them. As for the pacing, I think it's a bit too fast for the emotional moments. Like, the build-up was too quick for me, and when the emotional scene happened, it's difficult for me to feel it. It didn't feel deep, which is not something that you want your wife to say. In addition, I have problems with some of the transitions between scenes, which I will explain in the next section. Lastly, the ending. Well, to prevent massive spoilers, let's just say that a certain reveal left me interested in a particular character more, and it's good. I liked it to the point that it left me hanging. God damn it. For the bad stuff. First and foremost, the fact that there is no voice acting. And you would say that this is a nitpick of mine, but it's a damn good one. Why? Because of the lack of... I mean, there are several cases of... in this VN. I could tell. I could even imagine the waifu saying it. Hell, I believe that even a freaking lolly said it. It freaking reminded me of Rory Mercury from the Gate series.
I'm sorry.
I could hear the lolly saying it in this BN. Maybe she didn't, or maybe she did. How do you clarify? Give her a voice. Anyway, that wasn't really a big complaint, and it's just me nagging, but yeah, it would be nice to get voiceovers. Next, I mentioned that I have issues with some of the transitions between the scenes. It's too fast. It's like there's a quick change between a mysterious scene and a normal one. This is further shown with the OSTs in this VN. Let's say, for example, a creepy music being played in the background, and then suddenly a cheerful and catchy one was played immediately afterwards. Message to the developers: guys, give your audience some time to digest and take in the atmosphere before the next, especially since one is completely different than the other. It just felt like force feeding. There are also some scenes where there was no music at all, like completely silent. And I understand that it works in some cases, but I don't think that it did in this VN. It was kind of awkward for me to read those quiet moments. But that's not all. There is one scene that has a kind of music which I feel is not really suitable. I mean, this scene is situated in a crisis, but it's not life-threatening. And the music in this particular scene felt like it was an effing battle or something. It was just a conversation between two people. No action or anything. But the music in that particular scene just felt like some shit was going down. I don't know, it felt too dramatic for me, which was totally unnecessary. But whatever, it is what it is. Lastly, I don't like the fact that some characters were neglected in the story. It is how I've said. The characters introduced in the beginning. The fact that they no longer have screen time after that. It raises the question, what's happening on their side? I mean, this is not an isekai. The protagonist and the Hime-sama were only just transported to a different region. They're still in the same world. If you say that they no longer matter, I'm just gonna respond that they're legit the reason to why Selphine and Ritona had to teleport away. Now, the good stuff. I want to give a shout out to Herzban's character. I really like his interaction with Sid and Albus here, being the bro kind to them, mostly because he's a drunkard. But he gets serious when it matters, and that made me appreciate him even more. Plus, that drunk side of his allows him to be like a cool uncle kind character to Ritona and Selphine. And speaking of Selphine, I am grateful that she's not the damsel in distress kind of person. As I mentioned, her cuteness doesn't feel forced, it just comes naturally to her, and there were some moments that I liked reading depicting her character. Next, the dark moments in this VN. To be honest, I expected a different kind of gore, but then the story gives you a creepier one, in my opinion. It's not unwelcomed, but it's damn well unexpected, though I wish that the gore was shown in its entirety. Well, the CGs were, you could say, nicely censored with the aid of cinematography, but yeah, I just wish that the gore scenes were more gory. That being said, I understand that that particular tag is not the main focus of this story. Last but not least, moments of... There were 3 characters that said this orgasmic expression, which makes this VN way better than Byakko already. And this story doesn't even have horny. Speaking of horny, I understand that it's not suitable in this kind of story, probably because it's set in a crisis, and probably because there's no suitable MC. Trust me, Rudo is too cool to have waifus. He's in a different league than us. But no matter, let's just conclude. All in all, Fog Milestone 1 is a nice enough VN. It's got intriguing characters and cool enough of a world building. However, I just wish that the story was prolonged more in order to not neglect the side characters and to give a better pacing. In addition to that, the transitions between some scenes weren't as smooth, and I also wish that there was a bit more of the world building aspects. Anyway, Degen score is 7.5. And that's all from me. Hope you guys can like and subscribe if the content is degenerate enough. Later, gens.